Tuesday, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. You're in for a treat for the next hour. My name is Laura Huffman, and I am the president and CEO of the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce. Look, we know 2020 was a difficult and uncertain time, and we're still in it here in the early days of 2021. And here's what I want you to know. As the voice of business in the Greater Austin region, the Chamber has had a big job this last year because you know this, running a business is hard, but 2020 made it even harder. So our work here at the Chamber is about helping people live, work, and thrive in the Austin region. We're here to be a resource for the business community. And I'm really proud to say that we've been doing just that, from hosting webinars and roundtables to posting content and meeting with companies that were facing tough decisions, as well as some great economic development. We really are here to listen and to be a resource. So feel free to reach out anytime. We're here for you. Today, we're kicking off a new series that we're really exciting called Mobility Matters. And we all know that infrastructure is a big priority for all businesses. It is particularly important for businesses that are thinking about relocating or expanding in Austin. It's second behind a local talent workforce. So it's a big deal for us. And we've done a lot of work in this area. So I'm hoping that this Mobility Matters series is going to provide you with really good up-to-date information on everything that's happening in our region around mobilities. This is going to include roads, mass transit, and airports. I, in particular, would like to thank the following partners whose support helps provide this programming for you all year long. So we've got our pivotal partners are listed on the slide here. Thank you, Amazon, Dell, Home Depot, PIMCO, and Wells Fargo. We've got foundations partners that have helped us. Bank of America, DAA, Home Depot, Jacobs, Samsung, St. David's Healthcare, and Texas Mutual, and our corporate partners. And here we've got a bunch. So thank you all for helping us to provide this good content to the business community here in the region. I also want to thank the sponsors that made today's events possible. HNTB, thank you very much. We've got Amazon and Texas Gas Service are our corporate sustainers. And our supporting sustainers include Cap Metro, Google, and HDR. All of you, thank you so much for investing in this business community by helping us provide really good content as often as we can. I'm really excited today. Michelle Dipple is here with us from HNTB. She and I have been on a number of these calls together. So it's good to see you, Michelle, and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
I'll turn it over. I don't know if you all can tell this, but for me, it looks like Michelle has a halo over her, which I personally love. So Michelle, I'll turn it over to you to introduce our program. And thank you so much for what you do to support the business community.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Laura. I am excited to get to introduce our speaker today, Tucker Ferguson. Tucker, thanks for being with us. As many of you already know, Tucker is the district engineer for the Austin District of TxDOT. What you may not know is that the Austin District isn't just Austin, it covers 11 counties, so he's got quite a job. Tucker graduated with a civil engineering degree from the University of Pittsburgh, Johnstown. And prior to coming to Texas, he was with Pennsylvania DOT for 22 years and also worked on the private side, even at the beginning as a construction inspector. So Tucker came to Texas and joined TxDOT in 2011 and served as the district engineer in Beaumont until 2019, when, lucky for us, he moved to Austin and became the district engineer here. I'm happy to tell you I've heard from Tucker that his wife Lisa really loves the Austin area, so I'm hoping that means they won't be moving from here anytime soon. Thanks for being with us today, Tucker, and I also want to thank you for being willing to take on the challenge of I-35.
Thanks, Michelle, and it's exciting times here for TxDOT and the Austin District, as well as everybody in our region. And quickly, just before I get into my comments, things have really not slowed down for us. Through the pandemic, we've adjusted some of our approaches and the way we've worked with telecommuting and in combination with our field folks. Things have not slowed down really at all. And I'm looking forward right now to my first legislative session as being the Austin District Engineer. And as you can imagine, it ramps up every 2 years. And but when you're in a remote district or the Beaumont district, 4 or 5 hours away, we keep in touch with what's happening in the news and try to keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening. But I expect a very different involvement this year going through the legislative sessions being the Austin District Engineer. Number one, with just the number of legislators coming in, I expect to get a lot of feedback on our roads. So we hope they are tidied up as much as possible, but also the challenges that just come along with being here in Austin and some of the central focus. So really looking forward to that. And as we get into the program today, Michelle, it was a great lead in for what's happening on I-35. And the I-35 project is still one of the major projects in the state of Texas, and certainly a focus for us here in the Austin District. And we began Mobility 35, Title Mobility 35 program in the Austin District in 2011. And it's, for those of you who have been involved with that and have heard about it, it's probably hard to believe that we are now 10 years into the Mobility 35 program. But it was a joint effort 10 years ago, initiated by TxDOT, Campo, our Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, as well as the City of Austin, and just looking at ways to solve I-35 challenges and what it means to Central Texas and for the state and the nation. And if you can go to the next slide, please. As you can see on this slide, and it should be no secret to anybody on this presentation, but I-35 through the central core of Austin is home to 5 of the top 100 most congested segments in the state of Texas. And we do have the distinction of being number 1 in our central core. And we, in the 2020 survey, we went from number 2 to number 1. We overtook one of the segments in Houston. And in some ways, that's a good thing because it does ramp up the attention that I-35 gets. But when you are the most congested segment of any roadway in your state, that brings a lot of responsibility and a lot of challenges with it. So as you can see, 5 of the top 100, and number 1 there being on I-35 from US 290 to State Highway 71. And that just so happens to correspond with the limits of one of our I-35 segments. But just to recap a little bit about the Mobility 35 program, as I said, it began 10 years ago. And it was a joint effort with Hayes, Williamson, and Travis counties, and spans the entire 79 miles through those 3 counties. And we've actually completed 8 projects worth about $130 million over the last 10 years on I-35 already. The projects that have been completed and the ones that are underway right now, really you could put them in a category of operational improvements. We've done a lot of interchange improvements. We've done innovative intersections, roundabouts, diverging diamonds. We've reversed ramps where we've changed on-ramps to off-ramps and vice versa to get operational improvements. But what you've not seen to this point, and really of what's happening under construction right now, is any adding capacity to I-35. Well, that's about to change. And we have over 30 projects underway right now in varying degrees of development on I-35. Many have been completed. Many are under construction right now, and many others are in development. But we have about 20 projects right now, total about $90 million in the environmental and design and development standpoint. But as I said, to this point, the majority of them have been or all of them have been operational changes, mobility improvements, safety types of projects that will be incorporated into the capacity addition projects that we are getting to launch in the next couple of years. You go to the next one. So the big projects that most of you have probably heard about and have given input on, and we appreciate the feedback that we get from all of our partners in the business community, are the 3 Capital Express program projects, as we have titled North, Central, and South. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to chambers of commerce, because one of the things that we take very seriously at TxDOT is the impact that our projects and the development of our projects have on the business community and the economy, especially here in Texas. With everybody moving, so many people moving to this region, we realize that the growth that is happening here and the jobs that are created are impacted by our projects. So we do whatever we can with the resources that we have to facilitate that and move people and goods all up and down our corridors. And I-35 is no different. So the three standalone projects that we have that make up our Capital Express program are titled North, Central, and South. So I'll start on the North and the South to start off. So the North project goes from State Highway 45 near Round Rock to US 290 right outside our office here in the Austin District. And the project that's being scoped and developed and getting ready to put plans and specifications together right now is looking to add one non-tolled managed lane in each direction. And that's the capacity issue that I talked about, that we'll be adding one lane in each direction between those 2 points. And then on the southern side, we're looking to add 2 lanes of non-tolled managed lanes in each direction from the State Highway 71 Ben White Boulevard area to State Highway 45 Southeast. Those are the bookends. Those are the 2 projects that are under development right now, and we expect to have plans ready to go to bid early 2022. So we are getting very close. That's a year away, but as project development goes, that's not that far into the future. So our team is working very hard, and we're taking public input and putting the plans and specs together for those 2 projects to get underway. Hopefully mid 2022, we'll be under construction. The northern piece, we are for 1 lane in each direction. The price tag on that's about $400 million. And the southern piece is about $300 million to add 2 lanes in each direction. And along on the northern piece, we'll be doing a lot of work with bridge replacements, intersections, interchange improvements, and operational improvements that may not be as necessary on the southern side, because we've done a lot of those already with William Cannon, Stastny. Those types of projects are already underway and will be complete later on this year. So we'll be incorporating a lot of those changes and a lot of those improvements we've done over the years into the north and the south piece. But the other thing that we will benefit from by completing those 2 end pieces early is we envision those to be sort of relief routes or relief channels, if you want to call them that people who may not need to get to the downtown core, once that goes to construction 4 or 5 years from now, we'll be able to use the improvements on 183 or on Mopac or State Highway 130, that if they really don't need to get to the downtown core during construction, they can avoid that by using the additional capacity we're adding to the north and south piece to avoid the downtown piece. Because let's be honest, when we go to construction for the downtown piece, it's going to be disruptive. And so that will get me to the central piece, the one shown in orange there between 290 on the north side and Ben White on the south side. Again, we'll be adding 2 managed lanes in each direction. And this is the one that gets all the attention because a lot of it is going to be subsurface or buried. We'll be removing the upper decks around the University of Texas area. And the price tag for this project is $4.9 billion. So it doesn't, I realize that it doesn't seem to be corresponding to the other ones for the length of it is, but going subsurface and tunneling is very expensive. But as you can imagine, that project is going to be very difficult with access to downtown, and we will do everything we can with our contractor and our developers to make sure that we maintain traffic as best we can and provide access to the downtown area and businesses and University of Texas, because again, we recognize the impact that construction does have on the community and on economic development, and we want to minimize that as much as possible. However, it will be very challenging as we go through the design of that. That central section, although it's to be determined the delivery method, that could be, and it's leaning towards a design build delivery method where we will bring on a designer and a contractor in a team fashion to give us their best proposals on how to phase that, how to construct it, how to continue to have access to the downtown area and be as least disruptive as possible. As you can imagine, putting the lines on the paper and the 2 lanes in each direction is the easy part. How you build it, how you phase it, and how you maintain access for residents and businesses and the community during construction is very difficult. So we'll be looking for many innovative solutions for that downtown area, which is why we're leaning right now to a design build type of solution or design build type of procurement method so we can get that teaming and get the most innovation as we can. There's a link on here that shows my35capex.com. All of our latest information on all three of these is at that website. So announcements on public meetings and getting public feedback and schematics that have been released are all at that location. So that's a great resource to tune into to see the latest information. But we are very excited about all three of these projects because, as mentioned before, this is the first real capacity expansion on I-35, from what I understand, that has happened since about 1974 when the upper decks were built to give the additional capacity there on the northern piece of this. So very excited about these projects. The design build project in Central will probably go to construction or to procurement in the 2024-25 timeframe. Again, as we get through that process and design it and get that under construction, hopefully the substantial pieces of the end caps of north and south will be finished so we can divert as much traffic around downtown as possible to take the through traffic around that area, because it will be disruptive. So those are the three major projects right now on I-35 that are happening. We do actually, for Mobility 35, have 11 other projects that are underway, 4 in Williamson County, 3 in Hayes County, and 4 in Travis County. Again, that'll all work hand in hand with these improvements that we will be putting together for Capital Express. So very excited about this. A major investment has been made by our commission in recognizing this corridor as being a top priority for the state of Texas. And as you can see, it addresses 5 of the top 100 most congested highway segments in the state of Texas in this segment alone. So I want to bounce now to a different project that's gotten a lot of attention. It was many, many years in the making, and that's the Oak Hill Parkway project. This one was procured last summer in a design build fashion. So we have a contractor and a design team to get working together to get this one underway. But looking just at the history of this project, when I came on board, learning about it, this project was in the making for over 30 years. And my understanding is TxDOT originally cleared one version of this project way back in 1988. And just to date myself a little bit, that was my senior year in college. So this one has been on the drawing board for many, many years. And we are very pleased to get it to procurement and construction later on this summer. But after many years of collaborating with the communities and agency partners, we have a project that meets the congestion issues and the mobility issues and the safety issues and the community issues of the character of the Oak Hill region. This is another project or another highway that is in the top 100 most congested highways in the state of Texas, coming in on the 2020 list as number 43. And we will be building an upgraded state-of-the-art section with 3 lanes in each direction. We will be going over several of the intersections, the signalized intersections that are in place right now, and improving mobility and improving safety, and also bringing in many of the design features and the desires of that community and making it more walkable, more bicycle friendly. We'll be incorporating and building about 15 miles of new bicycle and pedestrian paths. We have a number of off-site stormwater detention ponds that we will be treating water and making sure that we don't infiltrate the very pristine and sensitive Edwards Aquifer in the area. We know that's very important to the community, and it's very important to us as well. We want that to be maintained and not disturbed whatsoever. So a number of improvements and care and design features have gone into making sure that we take care of the environment and take care of the community, as well as many of the trees in the area. It's called the Oak Hill area, Oak Hill neighborhood, for a reason, and there's a number of trees that we'll be protecting, that our contractor is responsible for making sure that they don't damage as many trees as possible. So this project, as I said, was procured last year at the price tag of about $677 million. So it's a huge investment for our region. But as the city of Austin continues to grow, we see the expansion and growth and population growth and economic growth to the west of us. And this is a project that will hopefully address some of those mobility needs and continue to expand out to the west of the district. As I said, we should see construction starting with utility relocation and pre-construction activities all underway already, but later on this year, we'll see dirt turning on this project and clearing the right-of-way and adjusting the utilities. And we are very proud of this project in addressing congestion, respecting the environment, and adding value to the Oak Hill community. So these are some major projects on I-35 and in the Oak Hill area that's happening, but that's not only where our efforts are being focused. And as Michelle said, we cover 11 different counties here in Central Texas. And for fiscal year 21, which runs for us from September 1st to August 30th, is our fiscal year. We actually have 50 projects that we're working on to get let to a tune of about $350 million. So it's not just these, but we have projects of all varieties all across our district. Bridge projects, resurfacing projects, maintenance projects, safety projects, and to the tune of 50 of those going to let. But the $347 million, $350 million is a very healthy program that we're proud of this year. But as we get into the next couple of years, just as I mentioned before, the one project, the North project on I-35 is $400 million alone. So we are looking at our next several years here in the Austin District as being banner types of years of dollar volumes of investment that we are seeing that I can't say it's never been done before, but it's probably been a long time in the Austin District and to the volumes that I've never been involved in before. So I am very proud of the team that we've put together and leading this effort. And COVID has changed the world for us. About 1/3 of our total workforce here in the district was last March was forced to work from home and telecommute and telework, but they've not missed a beat. And we've continued to develop the program and getting these projects out the door. And I would be remiss if I wouldn't mention the other 2/3 of our workforce who have continued to show up every day and work very hard with our maintenance folks and our construction folks. And they are on the ground each and every day, continuing to move TxDOT forward and accomplishing our mission. And we had 4 inches of snow last 2 Sundays ago that our maintenance forces were out in full force in fighting that. And fortunately, it happened on a Sunday, so not a lot of traffic was on our roadways, but they knocked it out of the park in the pre-treating and the treating of the roadway system throughout that entire event. And we had very minimal types of icing conditions, and that's a testament to our guys being out there, out in front of it and seeing the whole thing through. So at that, I will pause. And Michelle and Laura, thank you for the opportunity. And I would be glad to take any questions at this point from anybody on the recording.
Thanks, Tucker. That was great.
So I do see one question in here in regards to I-35. What types of business outreach will we be conducting in order to inform businesses about alternate routes? We will be very proactive in this. Again, it's going to be, it will be somewhat disruptive, but we will have continuous updates on our website. We will do press releases. We will be having press conferences, and we have consultants on board that will be helping us with mailers and that type of information, and be taking that type of information out to the public to give them as much notice in advance of whether there's ramp closures or lane restrictions. And we'll always strive to do those in off-peak hours, weekends, nighttime, overnight closures. But let's be honest, there's not a lot of off-peak hours in downtown Austin. That goes from 6 in the morning to almost 9, 10 o'clock at night at almost full capacity. So we will do what we can off hours, but we will keep many lines of communications open to make sure businesses and residents are well informed of what our plans are.
You see the next question, Tucker? Yeah.
Yes. So the question is, how involved is TxDOT and DAA's planning for a cap and stitch of I-35? Very involved. We are pleased to be partnering with Downtown Austin Alliance and really the outreach to make this project a generational type of project. We understand the the desire to reconnect the east side and the west side, and we're looking for opportunities for bike trails, walking trails, as well as the caps and the stitches. And so everybody understands, caps are, if we would put a deck plaza, for example, between different blocks of streets, so between 4th and 5th Street, for example, that if we would be able to put a deck plaza between those two locations, that would be a cap. And a stitch basically is the roads that go over I-35, and we would make those a little bit wider. That could create some green space and development space or recreational space between those. So we are very involved with Downtown Austin Alliance. And the one thing that I do need to mention, though, is they are two separate projects. We are able to spend our resources and our dollars on the highway project, and the caps and the stitches do need to be fundraised, if you want to call it that, at a different level, so or from a different source. So I know DAA is working very hard on looking at how to finance those, but we want to make sure they dovetail together to be seamless. And we're very excited about the opportunity to make this that type of a generational type of project, where it's not just a road, it's not just a highway or a bridge project through downtown Austin, but it's something that will create livable spaces where people can enjoy the quality of life in addition to the mobility. So I see another question in the chat about last summer. Campo took a hard vote in order to fulfill funding for I-35, where they delayed over $600 million worth of projects. And last week, Campo was able to add some of the delayed projects back into the UTP. So what are the prospects of adding additional projects this year and in 2022? So I need to back up and give some background information on that. So at this time in January last year, the central project at $4.9 billion had only about $600 million dedicated to it or assigned to it. So we were in a $4.3 billion deficit or a gap for funding. And right about this time last year, our commission, working with Chairman Bugg, our commission chairman, the governor's office, Senator Kirk Watson, had all put together a financial plan to close that $4.3 billion financial gap. And it was done through several different layers of funding. And the biggest one, obviously, was the commission had identified $3.4 billion of what they call Category 12 or commission discretionary funding that is competitive or competed for on a statewide basis. They identified it and looked at I-35 and the central project as being so important that they identified that $3.4 billion worth of funding and dedicated it toward I-35 Central. With that financial plan, they asked Campo to identify $633 million worth of projects that had previously been programmed. And we were working on them and getting them developed to get them to bid. And they asked us to identify $633 million worth of projects to remove funding from those and put it on I-35 as our number one priority. And that created some very difficult conversations and decisions at Campo. I'll be very honest. It was not comfortable to do that, but we had to keep the bigger picture in mind, that our commission was taking $3.4 billion that could have been used anywhere in the state and putting it on I-35 Central. So we did prioritization. We had many meetings with Campo and put together criteria for how we prioritized our projects. And at the June meeting, we were able to identify the projects that we were going to defer. We called them deferments, where we took the construction money that was identified for those projects and put it on I-35. So if you're doing the math, that still left us about $300 million short. And the commitment from the commission was in the 2021 UTP that was passed in August of last year, they would honor that and identify the final about $307 million to make I-35 project whole. So with those three pieces, we were able to identify $4.9 billion to fully fund I-35. So that still left us with, again, the $633 million of projects that were previously funded through Campo and a variety of different funding sources. But the promise that we as TxDOT had made and the Campo board and executive committee had made to the region was when future years funding becomes available, we would start by looking at which projects were deferred and going through the same criteria we went through previously of readiness and local commitments of dollars that were placed on those projects. We would prioritize those. And I'm glad to say that last week at the Campo meeting, Heather Ashleen Wynn, our TP&D director, was able to identify 8 projects that we will be moving forward into the 2022 UTP, which is starting the process right now of publicizing those projects, vetting those, and those will become public here in the next couple of weeks and a couple of months, where the public will be able to review those and look at which ones that we will be putting forward to get funded in the 2022 UTP, which will be passed by our commission in August of this year. So basically, in the Category 2 funding that TxDOT manages and leads, we deferred about 23.5 projects last June. When I say 23.5, it's because there was 22 projects that were fully funded by Category 2 money, and then another one that was partially Cat 2 money and Cat 7 money. So we had about 22 projects that we had deferred, and we're pleased to say that we've proposed 8 of those moving forward and getting refunded by Category 2 money in the 2022 UTP. The total amount of those projects is about $72 million. So we have a long way to go to pick up some of the larger ones, but some of the ones to note was one of the Loop 360 grade separations that was deferred last year. That was very disappointing that we had to do that, but we're starting to pull those back in, and we'll get them eventually. We'll get them all back in eventually, but that's where we are with our Category 2 projects that Campo acknowledged that we were putting forward last week for the 2022 UTP. So another question, one of the suggested builds through downtown section suggested there could be up to 20 lanes total. Has that plan been rejected, and how many lanes would you anticipate instead? We don't know the answer to that yet. I think the 20 lanes comes from some vision that many have compared this project to Katy Freeway, and I think they got 20, 22, 24 lanes in some sections. But we've not settled on a number of lanes at this point. That'll come through in the scoping and in the development of the project and looking at traffic projections. So I don't know if it's going to be up to 20 lanes. We're not sure yet. What we have settled on is the concept that we'll be adding 2 managed lanes in each direction. So we have 3 in each direction right now. That would give us 5 in each direction for the majority of the corridor. But we will also be doing operational improvements and some auxiliary lanes, and in some segments on the frontage roads, adding some capacity as well. So it probably won't be that configuration the entire length of the corridor, but there will be pieces that would be expanded on the frontage roads with operational changes as well.
And Tucker, based on your schedule, you would think you'd have a better idea of that sometime next year from a lane configuration perspective.
We do, and we just went through a scoping purpose and need public comment period that started in November, went into December. We're going through those comments right now, and there's a lot of interest in this project. We had, I believe, well over 2,000 comments.
No doubt.
Many of them were similar, and so we're going through all of those right now, and we'll be responding to them. But we're doing a second round of scoping in February of this year, and we'll be opening that up to public comment throughout the entire process. We want to be very engaged and very transparent of what our thought process is, and take those comments back and see how they match up with the purpose of this project. So we've had many comments that have asked us to actually squeeze it down and not expand, but actually contract. But as you saw from my first slide, we are in some of the most congested areas of I-35, and in the entire state has some of the most congested areas. And when you look at just the demand on what's on I-35 right now, and look at the projections that many demographers are saying that the growth of Central Texas is going to be over the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's anywhere between 50% and doubling in population over that period of time. But so it's probably somewhere in the middle of what's actually going to happen. But if you see business, just seeing the news of businesses moving here and people moving here, many of those people will be coming and be bringing vehicles with them. And many will be telecommuting. I understand that. Many will be using transit and public transportation, and many may be walking and using bicycles. But it's going to be a combination of all of the different modes trying to address the needs of what those demands are going to be. And we're building this project and incorporating those different modes for the future. And we've not expanded again this segment of roadway since 1974, and it may be another 50 years or beyond until we get an opportunity to do it again. So we want to make sure we do it right for what the need is, what the demand's going to be, and but at the same time doing the right thing by the community and the quality of life and improving that as well. We see another question with the development of Eastern Travis County, especially with Tesla, is your team looking at opportunities to expand capacity in that area and Bastrop County? Also, is collaboration with other districts as it pertains to travel between Austin and Houston. So I'll take the eastern part of the district as well. Yes, we are looking to expand in Bastrop County. And as I said before, we deferred $633 million worth of projects last year. And a couple of the ones that were deferred were grade separations in Bastrop County between Travis County and Bastrop. So we're looking to improve mobility and safety. Those signalized intersections, I think there's 5 of them on State Highway 71. We had every one of those programmed to be grade separations. So picture what we did at Buc-ee's a couple of years ago in the city of Bastrop. We're looking to do that on all of those signalized intersections, but unfortunately, some of those fell victim to the deferrals last year. So we will again be taking those intersection by intersection, interchange by interchange, and refunding those as money becomes available. But yes, we do recognize the importance of expansion to the east in Bastrop County and State Highway 71, and we will do those as well. So the second question is about collaboration with other districts pertaining to travel between Austin and Houston. Absolutely. State Highway 71, US 290 between Austin and Houston is something that we're expanding. We have several projects that are that are well underway and getting wrapped up on US 290 in Lee County and in Bastrop County on State Highway 71. But the other thing specifically to I-35 is we recognize that the San Antonio metro area and the Austin metro area along the 35 corridor and the 281 corridor are almost blending together. So everything we're doing in the Austin district, we are absolutely collaborating with my counterpart in the San Antonio district and Gina Gallegos, who's just a recently appointed new lead district engineer. We are on the same page as what they are doing there to make sure it matches up with what our mobility plans are for the Austin district. Similar to Houston, what areas are under consideration between Austin and San Antonio?
Answered that.
35 and 280, yeah, absolutely. 35 and 281 are those major northwest corridors that we are collaborating with the San Antonio district.
Excellent. Matt, any other questions?
TxDOT working with Cat Metro as they begin Project Connect. We absolutely are. We work on a regular basis with Cat Metro to make sure what projects they are looking at developing as part of Project Connect can be incorporated into our project. And as we expand I-35, we're making sure they have a seat at the table to make sure whatever facilities they want to build out are connecting to our project. Like I said, this is not a one-size-fits-all approach to addressing congestion and safety in our region. It has to be transit related, highway related, bicycle and pedestrian friendly related, and connectivity with all modes of transportation. So we definitely are in communication with Cap Metro to make sure whatever plans they are looking forward to can meet, are not precluded in the designs and the construction that we do on our segments of I-35.
Seems like there would be some opportunity for collaboration on construction timelines too. That's going to be quite a lot going on at one time.
Absolutely will be.
Yeah.
And again, construction, we recognize construction is disruptive, and we need to work those traffic control plans together to make it as least disruptive as possible. So the next question is, how has Austin differed from my work in Beaumont in Pennsylvania? Interesting question, Matt. So let me make the comparison first between Pennsylvania and Austin. And I spent my career in Harrisburg in Pennsylvania at PennDOT in the capital city, and the last couple of years being the district engineer in the Harrisburg district. So I was in the capital city, and I would say the difference between Harrisburg and Austin is not so much the attention that you get, because we were right in the focus in Harrisburg as well. But the way I like to describe it is Austin is like Harrisburg on steroids, a heavy dose of steroids. And one of the major differences in Pennsylvania, they have a full-time legislature, so they don't meet every couple of years. So the focus and the attention is spread out throughout the year. And like I said, I'm really looking forward in a good way and sort of hesitantly as well to the legislative session, because I know that meeting every 2 years and cramming all of that focus into 5 months, it's going to be very intense. So I'm looking forward to the challenges and the opportunities we're going to get here in the Austin district with the legislature in session, but I do recognize it's going to be very different. So that's probably the difference between Pennsylvania and TxDOT and Austin, that the focus of the legislature is in that 5 month period, and again, looking forward to that. So the difference between Beaumont and Austin is, like I said earlier, being in the Beaumont district, you pay attention to the legislative session, and you're sort of on the outskirts, and you're not in the pots, in the boiling water, I guess you could call it. You may be in the gallery watching everything that's happening in Austin, but really looking forward to the attention, and we've gotten a lot of attention already in my short year and a half that I've been here, and just looking forward to it here through this legislative session. Brisket, tacos, or Philly cheesesteaks? So
Be careful.
I can say both, but I am a big Philly cheesesteak fan, and I'll be very honest. I've had trouble finding a good Philly cheesesteak in Texas. So if anybody out there on this call has some suggestions, I am all for it. Send them my way, because I am willing to try them all. But this is an easy answer, Matt. Both. I'm a big fan of the brisket and the brisket tacos as well. So one of the big pleasant surprises coming to Texas is the food, and being in Southeast Texas for all those years, the Cajun food, absolutely loved it. And coming here to Central Texas with the barbecue, I'm not a bigger fan of anything than I am the barbecue. It's outstanding.
I don't see anyone. That's it. Yeah. No more questions for you, Tucker.
Okay.
Thanks so much for being with us.
My
really
pleasure.
Glad
You had me here this afternoon, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll be around and ready to help you as you respond to the legislature. So good luck with the next few months.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Tucker, that was great. Thank you for joining us. You're so nicely straightforward and practical in your answers. And this transportation is a perennial issue for us here in Austin. We've gotten a little bit of a reprieve in the last year, but I don't think it's the kind of reprieve any of us had hoped for or wanted. But we really do appreciate the investment that you're bringing to Austin, all the work that you've done on the big projects as well as the smaller projects. They all make a difference. And I have to believe that someone can find you a Philly cheesesteak.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I have to believe that this solved at least one problem. So everybody, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for this series because we'll be talking more about other mobility issues in the area, and have a great afternoon.